Nostalgia Nuckleheds with Hades Manticore and Kade Wolfe.
Hey, Max.
Hey, Kade. All right. Yes, awkward silence.
That's the best day. That's how you start a good podcast, right? What are we doing today, Max?
We're doing episode 3 of Nostalgia Knuckleheads, Kade. That's why I called you here.
What's on the...
I know what the intro is. I'm gonna do it.
Okay,
I'm
go ahead.
just trying to be funny. Okay, ass clown. Okay, episode 3. We're doing Static Shock. Static Shock was released in the year 2000. It lasted for 4 seasons, ran until 2004. It's by the WB. It aired on the WB. Rating, it has a 7.3 on IMDb, and there were 52 episodes. Kade, do you have any relation to Static Shock at all? Did you watch?
I have never seen Static Shock before.
I, on the other hand, watched it all the time as a kid because I loved it.
I don't even know anything about it except for what I just read, earlier in at the very beginning of the podcast. Apparently his name is Vergil Hawkins. I know he's in the DC universe, and that's about it.
Yeah, we were all really disappointed when he wasn't in Injustice Gods Among Us DLC character. I would have killed for that. Him and Freakazoid would have been perfect. Anything else you need to say, Kade?
No, I'm just ready to watch it now.
I feel like we should have more in this intro instead of just the show, what it's about.
I'm a lot more excited for this one than I was for Butt Ugly Martians.
That's like saying you're more excited for candy as opposed to a trip to the dentist. I mean, it's not that hard to beat, you know?
That said, I'm still much more I think maybe it's the mystery, and because I've never heard anything bad about Static Shock before, so hopefully it's going to be a really good podcast, and we'll have lots to talk about afterwards, and you'll take good notes, and I'll take good notes, and we'll just be able to compare notes, and it's going to be great.
That's the dream, isn't it?
Let's hope for another Mummies Alive.
Let's hope for 100 episodes of this
100
podcast.
episodes in a movie.
100 episodes in a movie. I don't know what our movie would be about, but it'll be fucking good. So we're going to watch episode 1 of Static Shock. It's called Shock to the System. Feel free to pause the podcast and listen along or watch along. We'll see you guys in, 20 minutes like always.
Yep.
See you then.
As a special treat, if you keep listening, you can listen to the whole Static Shock theme song. That was pretty good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Glad you liked it. Whew, I was afraid. I was afraid we were also going to start it out exactly the same as the last 2 podcasts, so,
Yeah, I tried to, mix it up a bit.
Gotta spice it up a little bit. Okay, we just finished watching it, so
Hopefully you did too.
hopefully you did too, because Static Shock is actually a decent show.
It's obviously a first episode.
Yeah, very obviously. Let's start with our plot summary, as per always.
Okay.
It's how we do it. Show starts off, right in the middle of some action. Him busting up a bunch of thugs that are robbing a warehouse, I guess.
Yes, of some electronic devices.
I thought it was weird that when he powered on the TV, it started playing television shows.
Yeah, I guess.
A lot of my notes are little things that are off, but they don't detract from anything, in my opinion. But it's I don't know how it's getting reception. Maybe that's the new way of a television. They just come with satellite built in. I don't know.
Well, he does have control over electromagnetic stuff, so he can probably just, the electromagnetic spectrum is pretty wide. That's where TV signals come from. So he's just piping those straight to the TV. He is the antenna.
It's a good point, not gonna lie. That's why you're on this podcast. You're the smart guy. I'm the idiot. So.
Yeah. See, I was really worried that this was going to be kind of like Butt Ugly Martians, where nothing's getting explained, and then luckily, it moved on straight to, this is me, whatever. 2 days before, I was a much different kid.
Yeah, he said, 2 days ago I wasn't superhero material at all.
Yeah.
They actually do explain a lot in this episode, which is nice. I think we're like, as you watch this, we're like all the questions you had answered.
Yeah, I wish it would have been spaced out a bit more. Like, maybe this was 21 minutes long. I wish it was maybe like exactly 30. But, I mean, it answered all the questions. It got straight to the point, you know.
It does
Whatever.
seem like they were trying to move through his power period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he gets them, and then the blah, 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 and they go through that as quick as possible. It's not a bad thing here. They do it well
Not
enough.
really.
So they do it well enough, in my opinion. Okay. We flash back to 2 days prior. It starts at his house.
He wakes up. He
You-
heads to the bathroom. He starts, you know, looking in the mirror, being all like, "You
Flexes.
talking to me?" Yeah, he's flexing, and he's shaving his little whiskers and whatever. And
You talking to me? Are you talking to me? No, I wasn't saying anything.
then his sister's, you know, ragging on him.
It's the typical teenage stuff. You know, if you're a teenage boy, you have problems with your sisters. You shave a lot because you're starting to get your hair going in. It covers a lot of teenage issues, but we'll cover as we're explaining this story more, hopefully.
He heads down the stairs. He has some problem taking his hat off of the rack, saying that it damns, or he doesn't say damn.
Like in a kid's WB show. God, fucking static electricity, man.
He's like, static electricity.
Shouldn't we
We need
get
to
some-
get some carpets.
Shouldn't we get some hardwood floors, what he said.
Yeah.
It was it was blatant foreshadowing, I guess, if, you know, the previous 5 minutes hadn't happened.
This will come up a lot more in my description of the episode, but apparently they live on the moon because he like barely walks into his father, played by the always impeccable Kevin Michael
Richardson. And, you know, Vergil Hawkins is voiced by Phil Lamar,
I know that.
who is a fucking god who can do literally any voice.
He's wonderful.
Does
And
a
then
teenager, he does a samurai, he does a Jamaican accountant.
he barely steps into his father, and then he like bounces like 7 feet backwards onto his ass.
That was probably the jankiest part of this episode.
Apparently his sister made eggs using some sort of, I don't even.
Be like
his
a-
sister made eggs, but by basically just like scrambling them and putting them on a plate.
It was very undercooked, it was what it would be my guess.
Yeah.
I've undercooked eggs before. I've overcooked them too. No one likes a black omelet, that's for sure. Anyway,
He heads to school.
meets his friend Richie.
Richie, who plays him?
James Marsden?
Wait,
Jason Marsden. Jason Marsden has done a ton of stuff. I'm pretty sure he was Ludo in Gladius, the best game ever made, so that's why he gets points with me.
all right. Anyway,
Okay, back
what do I?
he was
yeah.
at school and he met up with Richie, who's his best friend.
He met up with Richie. Virgil was crushing mad hard on what's her face, Frida.
Frida Gorin. The lively, he crushes on the popular girl who has like 87 people asking her out to the next, you know, wizard prom or whatever.
And a slight cute lisp that I hear in her little voice acting there.
Really, I didn't hear that at all. Apparently
And then
she was voiced by Danica McKellar in that show.
And then there's an altercation in the hallway after he tries to start to ask her out to the prom.
Yeah, that F-stop kid who has
When-
the fiery hair and is like the biggest douchebag I've ever seen in my life.
Who his hair is obviously foreshadowing for his abilities later on in the show.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. He got lucky. Maybe his
I
hair.
have ice powers.
maybe depending on your hair, that's what superpower you get when you inhale mutagenic gas.
My
So-
red frosted tips obviously mean that I have the ability to control milk.
Imagine if you were one of those bang babies and you got like the ability to just control milk, like you said. That was it. Everyone else can like shoot fire and electricity. You're just like, I can drink some milk. Anyway, when F-Stop like stomped on Frida, did you get like a really like rapey vibe from that?
I mean, yeah.
That music was super intense. Like, not even kidding.
And then she gives back the hat, and it's all like a different musical cue that's like lighthearted and whatever.
It's the musical cue that signifies his heart's fluttering in love with her.
Yeah.
I mean, as in love as you can be as a 14-year-old, you know.
School day ends. It's Richie and Virgil walking down the street. They are talking about.
They're talking about the fucking one guy that saved him from F-Stop.
Right.
The other gangbanger.
He says he makes Norman Bates look like Mr. Rogers.
That was a decent joke. I mean, I don't know how many kids know who Norman Bates is, though.
That's my thing. Like, You might as well have just said, he makes Jeffrey Dahmer, Charles Manson, Hitler, and Osama bin Laden look like the Wiggles.
The Wiggles? That's a little too much, Kate. I don't think kids need to know who Jeffrey Dahmer is.
Ah, come on. Everyone knows who Jeffrey Dahmer is. He's, good boy Dahmer.
He ate
100.
people's...
Have you ever seen that movie, 101 Dalmatians?
101 Dahmers, where 101 Dahmers go on killing spree?
Yeah.
It's like that Futurama episode with all the robot Lucy-Loos.
He then gets, Vergil gets beat up again.
By F-Stop and his crew of homies, because this is a very not ghetto-looking very city, but there are just gangs everywhere, apparently.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being an asshole in saying that, it just did not look very, like, ghetto-ish. Maybe it doesn't have to be.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter. Wade,
who earlier had saved him
from the beating, technically saves him again, but he gets his ass kicked for, like, a solid 10 seconds.
Yeah.
He came out with a black eye, right?
Yeah, he did.
He went home and it was gone.
He went home after... Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, that was just one of the another little tiny things I noticed, that Vergil had the black eye.
It
then
just
it was
moved
gone.
to his cheek.
Yeah, and then he had a Band-Aid on his head. So
Wade asks him to meet him underneath the bridge to join the crew.
Join his crew, as is with most gangs, they have their hideout under a bridge.
And Wade is wearing a green bandana, and he has a nice loose fitting shirt over top with the top button buttoned with no other buttons buttoned. Because fuck the establishment.
Yeah, fuck the police. It's their fault everybody has their powers, so technically fuck the police here.
After the meeting, Vergil accidentally kind of joins the gang.
He gets peer pressured into it, is the perfect
Inadvertently.
way to say it. Because that's also a big issue with teenagers, peer pressure. He goes home, he eats dinner with his family. They obviously notice the bruise that has moved from under his eye to his cheek.
Apparently, whether it be the mashed potatoes or, obviously being beaten up, his father doesn't mind him taking some lumps.
His father minds, but he just, knows Vergil isn't going to talk about it straight up, so let's give him a little space.
So I really like the father character, actually.
The dad is really good in this show. And this is only episode 1, but I like Vergil's dad, He's got to deal with the loss of his wife, suffering just as much as everybody else. I didn't remember that they brought up how Vergil's mom died in episode 1, though.
It was good.
There is an episode later on where he ends up going back in time to the night his mom dies and tries to save her, but his mom has like a duty to the city because she was a paramedic, so she has to save people, and she ends up going down in a hail of gunfire. Good episode, good series, not gonna lie. I didn't remember them bringing it up in the first episode, which explains like his intense dislike of guns that comes up later. And where his mom is. You don't have to, ask questions. Where's Vergil's mom? She's dead.
It establishes what every hero's story needs, which is dead parents at some point.
A dead parent or a dead parents. Like Uncle Ben and Peter Parker's actual parents, I assume.
So then Richie calls.
Yeah, Vergil flees to his room because he's tired of being interrogated about the lumps on his face. Richie calls him and he's all like, "You didn't join that gang, did you?" He's like, "No, I didn't join the gang. I just said I joined the gang."
But then Richie's like, "Oh, but it's like all over the place." Which, how does Richie know?
How do the gangbangers know Vergil's phone number?
Good question. The phone book.
Yeah, they just looked up Vergil Ovid Hawkins in the phone book.
They just looked at their phone. They're like, "Siri, look up Vergil Hawkins."
In 2004. Cortana.
Yeah.
Look up Static Shock's phone number.
So then Wade calls him and is like, "Hey, meet us at the docks."
Meet us at the docks. We're going to take care of your F-stop problem, which means they're going to murder him. And they're going to murder him hard. It's going to be great. And then he goes down, he sneaks out, he goes down to the docks. That's the impressive part, is he sneaks out of the house and just goes and does, this shit. I think either way he would have been screwed, honestly. If he didn't go, he has to deal with pissed off, superpowered gangbangers. And if he did go, he has to deal with regular gangbangers and then gets superpowers.
So it's pretty brave of him.
He's a very brave young man, this Vergil. This Vergil fellow. Good character. We all can relate to him. Anyway, he goes down to the docks. He meets up with Wade and his crew as F-Stop's gang arrives. He hands Vergil, a cloth that's wrapping up something, and they go and get into a giant fist fight. Which is a brutal fight, by the way. Everyone's just punching the shit out of each other. They've got baseball bats and iron pipes and shit.
And someone had a trident.
Brick, where'd you get a grenade? I don't know. And Vergil opens up the little cloth he got from Wade, and it's a gun. And he freaks out and he throws it into the river like a good kid would do. It's like that old commercial where that kid in the bus is watching that one kid throw a gun to the river, and he said one voice is heard. I hated that commercial. You don't remember that commercial? One voice was heard. think it was like Jesse McCartney or some shit like that.
Hmm.
I don't know. Look it up. Put it in. I'll put it in the podcast right now.
Okay, we'll just have the audio version of it.
Yeah.
Or the whole video.
Yeah. I mean, we do it for the themes, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yesterday while walking home, I saw some kid on Newberry Road. He pulled a pistol from his bag and tossed it in the river below.
Okay, he throws it, and then he runs. He tries to run, but F stopped catching him. He's like, Vergil, this is gonna be fun. He's gonna beat the shit out of him. Because, you know, bullies love beating the shit out of people. It's like their favorite pastime.
Then apparently the cops, hearing the sounds of fists on flesh, coming in their helicopters and with their gear and all this other stuff.
They demand their surrender. Everybody, like a good gang members, everybody scrambles. Nobody just gives up.
They begin firing live rounds into a big crowd of 14-year-olds.
I think it was tear gas. Like, they weren't firing live rounds. I think they fired a tear gas canister.
But that was like a bullet. He shot it out of a gun.
It was a tear gas canister. I'm 90% sure of it.
He shot out of a gun.
Yeah, tear gas can be shot out of guns, Kade. You know, it's weird. Grenade launchers, they're a thing. Didn't open fire. This is a WB show, Kade. They didn't even allow the thugs at the beginning to have guns, even though it looked very obviously like they were going to draw them. They drew crowbars instead.
So how does it make an explosion?
It's metal crashing into metal. And for all we know, that Bang Berry serum blows up real good, you know?
And so, do you think the serum was liquid and then it mixed with the tear gas?
I think it was just gas.
Okay.
It looked like gas canisters, to be honest with you.
Interesting.
We'll let the people in the comments decide.
And so he gets, like, Vergil's barely touches the cloud, right?
Everybody there gets gassed. Also, are gas masks standard equipment for cops? Like, because those guys are just like, get your masks on. The cops put the gas masks on. It's like, do they have those normally? I don't know.
they were obviously ready for like a riot, so they had like tear gas and everything.
Jeez, I didn't think about that at all. That's very true.
It was like a SWAT. Like it was a. They had heard about this happening.
It was like regular police responders. They weren't like SWAT gear or anything, but you know, whatever. It's good. It makes sense. So all the bangers get gassed. Some of them start mutating immediately, like that one guy that got rubbery and like started to fucking.
Yeah, that freaked me out.
Dude, this show right there at the start is brutal. I'll bring up another one later. But Vergil jumps the fence and he ends up passing out as he flips over the fence, and then he's home somehow. I'm kind of wondering. I don't know how Vergil got home. That's my biggest problem with this episode. Is how did he get home?
His body. I mean, people black out all the time and get home.
I guess that makes sense, but. It's kind of a very convenient explanation. Like, blacked out, just went home.
Maybe he had electrical interference in his brain, and so he forgot it.
I don't know. It's not a big deal. It's just, you know, it's one of the things. Matter. It's one of the things I noticed that was just like incongruous with everything else. It doesn't really matter though. It doesn't detract from the rest of the episode.
So he gets out of bed. His blanket is fighting with him because of the static electricity that he now has mastery over.
I won't lie, I laughed when he like slammed the door, and his dad just crossed by him and said, "Don't slam the doors." He's like, "Oh, okay, Dad."
He's like, "Yes, sir."
Yes, sir. I thought that was pretty good. I think this is actually a kind of a funny show. I laughed quite a bit. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna get high marks in the humor and entertainment category.
Then the worst. I think this is probably the worst scene in the episode. He asked Richie to meet him at the junkyard, and for a second there, I thought that I was gonna see Fat Albert in the gang.
You would have been hyped. That would have made this episode a perfect 8.
Plays around with some cars. Richie's like, "Oh wow, you should be a superhero." Like that was pretty quick.
I think it's weird that he has such a profound grasp of his powers already. Like, he's like floating cars around, like static clinging shit to fences. Usually there's like that awkward moment where you're trying to get your powers. Kind of like with Spider-Man when he's like, "Go Web, go! Go Web, fly!" They skip past that like entirely here.
They were trying to make it, you know.
I know, they're trying to streamline. It's not a problem, it's just I thought they would like spend more time on it. Like him doing random weird shit other than, you know, like powering his dad's razor and accidentally turning lights on.
Richie's like, "You need an outfit." And so they go back to his place.
They go to Vergil's, I'm pretty sure, because Richie's room is blue.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
They go back to Vergil's. I was trying to, yeah.
Yeah, some of it, he has some really weird clothes in his closet, not gonna lie. I'm wondering why he had that like lightning bolt outfit.
Because he was Electro for Halloween one year. because obviously in the DC universe, the comics that they read are from the Marvel universe.
I mean, Static ends up showing up in other DC shows, so it's part of the multiverse or whatever. Was that actually a legit superhero outfit?
No, I don't think so.
I
It
was
might have
gonna
been a callback.
I feel like it was, but I don't know. And then he like perfectly cultivates his superhero outfit that he ends up using. I thought that was really kind of strange, and honestly, because it just looked like a legit superhero outfit, not like you went home, you cobbled some shit together to be a superhero. Kind of like in Kick-Ass when he like orders the wetsuit or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
I like it, but it's like that was really convenient that he had all this like weird superhero shit in his closet.
Basically, then it just moves on. He then
It then rails back after it rails back to the start of the show where he's taking out the thugs and the thing. Which I didn't bring it up earlier, and I think I brought it up recently. Was at the start of that show when it looked like when the thugs were like, let's beat this guy up because, you know, thugs think they can take people with superpowers for some fucking reason. When they were reaching into their coats, it really looked like they were gonna draw guns, but they didn't. They like drew crowbars and shit. Maybe I'm just crazy and knowing that and thinking that, but I don't know.
Apparently Gordon Freeman just had a bad day and needed to go steal some electronics that day.
Kade, Gordon Freeman's crowbar is red. Got you, bitch. And then it rails back then, and it's also the night of the dance, or whatever the fuck high school's doing at that time. High schools were always having dances and proms. I don't know, I wasn't a part of that scene, you know me? You know me, Kade, I didn't do anything. I went home and played video games and cried a lot. Because that was...
We were both wallflowers, it's okay.
You went to prom, though, loser.
And I sat.
That would be me. I don't want to rent a suit. Fuck that shit. And then at the prom, he brings the computers that were at the warehouse to the school because it belonged to the school. I hope he didn't fry any of them inadvertently by carrying them there.
He can fix them, right?
Maybe. I also kind of think that like usually shit's packed in styrofoam, right? Styrofoam doesn't conduct electricity, right?
I think that's correct.
Oh boy. I don't know if that's correct, but I don't have enough knowledge to, you know, dispute it. Let me just look at it. It says it can carry a slight amount of static electrify, so I'm wrong, so who cares? And then he, you know, helps the dance get set up. He puts the disco ball in the middle of the, you know, the gymnasium. And then he flirts with Freda, which is pretty smooth as balls. I think it's interesting that Static is like so fucking smooth. And then he even brings it up. He's just like, why isn't it this easy for Vergil?
And he even uses the title of the episode by saying, my name's Static, and I'm the shock to your system.
Yeah, technically his hero is just named Static. It's not Static Shock, which is like a confusion that's happened for many years. People just call him Static Shock. He's actually just called Static. For clarity's sake, it's like Frankenstein versus Frankenstein's monster. You know what I'm saying?
I think that was to avoid having an SS as a logo.
Yeah, they made it look like the Nazi SS. That was their first idea, and they're like, "Oh wait, we can't do that, Nazis." Shit. And then it pans to the hospital where the rest of the Bang Babies are like, you know, going to their powers. Was that dude melting fucked up or what?
No, that was really gross.
That dude was fucking melting, and he was purple, and like the face of agony on his like blobby body was like, holy shit, this guy is dying slowly. I don't even know what his power is. His power was to turn into purple goo. He was Melt Man. That's what he was.
It looked like someone threw acid on Barney.
And then F-Stop busts out of the hospital, and he's like, this is gonna be fun, you know, to repeat the same line he always has, which is, you know, do evil shit and beat people up, because that's what bad people do.
Because now he has the power of fire.
Yeah, he luckily got the power of fire. They must have seen his frosted tips and were like, this guy needs to use fire. And then that's where the episode ended.
On a cliffhanger.
Not really a cliffhanger, because I'm pretty sure throughout the entirety of Season 1, Static fights F-Stop almost constantly, as well as other Bang Babies. Yeah, but later on there's like a harpy girl. There's a guy that controls darkness. His name's Ebon. There was a guy that could turn his limbs into like swords. He's called Shiv. Yeah,
that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, he's part of the meta breed. There are some decent villains in this show. I like him. Except for the guy that was an armadillo. His name was Carmandillo. I was like, that's stupid as fuck. You think I'm joking?
The box ghost from Danny Phantom.
Jesus. Here, I want you to actually look at this picture of Carmandillo and laugh with me. That was the guy that got the short end of the stick. Well, no, the guy that melted got the short end of the stick. This guy was an armadillo, you know.
He looks like the character design looks like the Spy from Spy vs. Spy.
I just had that feeling too. I was like, why does he look like the Spy?
Interesting.
Yeah, this show's got a decent cast. It's got a lot of decent plots. There are other heroes too. Good show overall. And that was our first episode. Now we got to get around to rating it with our patented patch system.
All right. First off, plot.
Plot. Gotta start with a P. Plot. Go ahead, Kade.
What is it out of again?
8. Remember your weird pizza system?
I'm just double checking.
I'm fine with using it. I don't really care. Numbers are meaningless.
So I'm gonna give it a 5, if only because I feel like there's some pacing issues, but that's only because of the limits of having to fit it all in 20 minutes.
I will also give it a 5, to be honest with you. I feel the same as you. It goes quickly. It's not a detraction, but I think they just wanted to get to, teenage superhero fighting bad guys as opposed to teenage hero, like, grasping his superpowers and learning how to use them.
Which is fine. Like, this is not a rating of overall Static Shock plot, just this one episode, so.
Yeah.
I would watch more.
I would too. Though, to be fair, I'd be watching it for nostalgia. You'd be watching it out of interest, right?
Yep, which is, I guess, it's kind of like, whatever, Mummy's Alive.
Yeah. It's a good show.
Let's go to the A.
The animation.
Animation is passable.
I would
give it another 5.
I was going to say it's average. I would give it a 4, to be honest with you.
It's not quite as good as, like, Batman the animated series.
Batman Beyond.
It's definitely WB. I can definitely...
Yeah, it was pretty average. I don't mind it. It's not as bad as, maybe I'm being, like, really down because we had to watch But Ugly Martians, which had some of the worst fucking animation I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, it's pretty average. I don't mind it. It's not bad.
Alright, next.
Was the theme song.
Theme song, which is repeated every time that... What is it? Like, hey, 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 hey.
That was the
hey.
second theme song. I would like to pull a preemptive self-defense of Static Shock here and say that Static Shock had 3 different theme songs throughout the entirety of its run. And the third one is the best.
Okay.
I would like you to take a moment to listen to it, if that'd be okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
The best one is the third one, because it was like an actual song, and it was sung by Little Romeo, I think.
Wow. Anyway.
Static Shock had 4 seasons, yeah, and like I said, this theme song isn't amazing, but it had 3 over the course of its run, and the third one is the best.
I mean, it's passable. I'll give it another 5.
You give that one a 5.
It's not stupendous.
Are you rating like all of them as an aggregate, or?
Yeah, I might as well.
Because I would give at least the third one a 6. I think overall 6, because it's like passable music. But the only one I really remember is the third and fourth season ones. To fight the criminals, chase the bad guys. Because it was done by Lil Romeo, which is a name I haven't heard in like a million years.
So I just don't have any nostalgia attached to it, so I'm just giving you my straight up. That's how I see it.
Next is characters.
Characters. Some of them are a little bit one note, but obviously it's the first episode, so they have time to develop. I really like the father, and I really like his character, the main character. I really like Vergil, if only because I like the dynamic between his father and son, and the fact that his mom and stuff. Just like I like how much information and history they packed into this one episode about the family.
They have this cast actually has like semi-decent chemistry with one another, which is nice. Yes. I think the only one note in there is F-Stop, to be honest with you. Of actual established characters, F-Stop was like the only pretty one-note one, because he was just like a dick. He's like, I like beating people up and being an asshole and blah blah blah. Because that's the only one note to me. Maybe the Frida chick too, but like she's the love interest, so like I don't think they're investing too much time into her. So give us your rating, Kate. What would you say?
I'll give it a 4 for just this one episode.
Really?
Yeah.
I am honestly gonna go with 6, to be honest with you.
All right.
I think that the characters are good. Maybe I'm being, nostalgic. And our final category, the humor and entertainment category, I think I'm going to mash those into one.
Okay.
Because it makes more sense that way. That way we can cover if it's a funny show and if it's a serious show, we can...
Besides, I see entertainment as overall anyway.
Yeah. Humor and entertainment. Go ahead.
You said that you were laughing a bunch?
Yeah, I got some giggles here and there. It's nice.
No.
Really?
Yeah. It doesn't resonate with my style of humor, I guess. Like, I like the story, but I'm not a fan of the... Yeah, you're not... Whatever.
You're just not from the ghetto like me, man.
Yeah, that's it. I'll give that a 3.
Overall for both, or...?
For humor.
3 for humor? I would give it a 4. Maybe I'm highballing there, because, our last episodes weren't, like, the most funny show. Also, one was
I guess that's true.
But Ugly Martians, which maybe want to kill
Which was
myself.
funny, but unintentionally.
It was like The Room. It was just not supposed to be, but God... You just couldn't help but laugh at how bad it was. And then entertainment will be the last one.
So overall, I would give it a good solid 6. Like, I had fun watching it, so.
Yeah, you're gonna watch more?
And I'd watch more.
I would actually go a little higher and give it a 7, which is pretty beefy for me. Usually I'm the cynical one. Weird.
You have more... I'm basing it all on just literally nothing, practically. Like, if I had 4 seasons, I've seen a drop in the bucket of what
Yeah.
the show has to offer.
It deserved 4 seasons, maybe a little more, but if a show starts getting low ratings, it gets canceled. Nothing you can do about it, really.
Yep.
It's a worthwhile show to watch. I like this show a lot. So now we gotta aggregate our scores, which we do out of our asses. What would you give Static Shock episode 1 overall, Kade?
I would give it a 6.
I honestly, I would give it a 7. It's pretty close to perfect, but like I said, numbers mean nothing. All I'm saying is it's definitely a worthwhile show to watch.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that statement.
I would agree with that statement too, but to be fair, I made it, so that will wrap up the books. Unless you have anything else you'd like to say about Static
Nope,
Shock.
that's it.
That'll wrap up our books on the Static Shock episode. Okay, now comes the fun point of the podcast where we pick the next show. Since I picked Static Shock because we couldn't find the jersey, which was Cade's show. Cade, you do the honor of picking next week's episode or next show.
It's gonna be Pepper Rain.
Pepper Rain. I don't know the rest of the theme.
Well, it was a childhood favorite of mine, and apparently you watched it too.
Maybe I just know the theme.
Okay.
I just
Well, I'm excited for it.
know the theme.
With that concludes this episode of the podcast.
Episode 3 of the Nostalgia Knuckleheads featuring Static Shock. As always, you can tweet me. I'm Hades_Manticore, YouTube channel, Video Games Ho.
All the information is below.
Cade, come on. Say your Twitter for fuck's
Like and
sake.
subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Donate. Please.
Give us Bitcoin. We're poor.
Give us Bitcoin or episodes of Super Duper Sumos because we can't find it online anywhere.
Yes,
if you could
please.
kick us one episode, I would love to review that piece of shit, but I can't find any. And I'm not paying for that shit.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening if you are, of course, as always.
We are happy to do this. It's fun for us, and we hope that you find some enjoyment in it too.
Hopefully we work out any sort of audio problems we'll have in the future.
Yep. I almost considered the last episode a lost episode, so I mean...
Really?
Yeah.
Was my audio that bad?
It wasn't your audio that was bad. It was just a bad episode. But I cut it down to something that could be pretty good.
I mean, it's hard to make a good episode out of a bad show, but...
Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Fight the criminal, chase the bad guys. Save the world, fly to the sky. Have kid, I'm amazing. Okay, stand shot, I'm facing. Yeah, 1-0, then use that. Get see, get trapped. In my eyes, I got the power. Villains run from static shower. Superhero, static shock. Superhero, static shock. Criminals, get twisted. This superhero gifted. Bell ring, back in school. Nobody know what I do. Okay, superhero, static shock. Superhero, static shock. Superhero, static shock. 1-0, then use that. Get see, get trapped. In my eyes, I got the power. Villains run from static shower. Criminals, get twisted. This superhero gifted. Bell ring, back in school.